Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Tuesday, the 28th day of February, the last day of February, 2023. I hope you're safe and healthy today and that your family is safe and healthy and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, along with the first responders, who every day are trying to save lives. Blessings also upon those that pick up garbage for us to keep streets and sidewalks and parks clean and disease free, and those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women that are out here trying to help rescue and deliver the unfortunate victims of child molestation and pedophilia. The victims also of pornography and child pornography. The victims also of prostitution and child prostitution, human trafficking, and sex slavery. Double curses on the perpetrators of these things, double curses on the profiteers of these things, and double curses on the perverts that create this heinous industry. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. There are nearly 600,000 men, women, and children living on the streets of the United States of America, mostly children, and millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. There was a basketball game last night. Our New York Knicks had a very big game against the Boston Celtics, one of the oldest, if not the oldest, rivalry in basketball history. It's always a dogfight, New York against Boston. Throw out the records, it doesn't matter. Last night, the Knicks thoroughly dominated the Boston Celtics. Now, there was a number of issues. I have to be fair on both sides. I'm glad the Knicks won. But there were some questionable calls on Boston. I got to be honest. But it kind of evened itself out because it seems like Marcus Smart gets away with fouling because of his reputation as a top defensive player. He gets away with fouling a lot. And he was getting away with a lot of it last night. So it kind of evened itself out with the calls on both sides. For example, the dunk that Tatum did, that wasn't a technical foul. And the chirping he did to the ref, I've heard a lot worse. And they had a short fuse with him last night. And he was frustrated. But part of his frustration, honestly, had to do with Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes played, as usual, stellar defense. Tatum was 6 of 18. He was as he usually does. And some people don't understand the concept when I say stellar defense. So let me explain for those that don't understand. Those that do, bear with me. In the NBA, great scorers are going to score. You can't stop them from scoring. They're going to get their points. That's how talented it is in the NBA. It's the league. What you do as a defender is, number one, you try to deny the basketball. Very tough to do, especially in the NBA, because teams know they're getting their best players the basketball. Number two, what you try to do is you try to know what the favorite spots are of the guy you're guarding and try to make it difficult for him to get to his favorite spots. Every player has spots on the floor that they're much higher percentage than other spots. Okay, and so what you want to do is you want to make it difficult for them to get to those spots. Then you have a better chance of making them take a shot that they don't like to take, and therefore a better chance of having them miss the shot. Okay, so you want to first try to deny them the basketball, and then when they get the basketball, you want to make them move to spots they don't want to go to. You don't want them to get to their favorite spots, because if they do, the likelihood is they're going to score on you. And then 3, you have to contest everything. So a guy like a Jason Tatum, again, almost impossible to stop. Footwork is, his footwork and Brunson's footwork very similar. Tatum's got elite footwork. And Brunson did a tremendous job denying him the ball. Then when he got the ball, forcing him to get to spots he didn't want to go to. Now, you're not going to completely stop him from doing it every time down. Obviously, that's why they're great players. And this is the league. So you're not going to stop him completely. But you're going to make it very difficult. So when you see a Jason Tatum on the number one scorer on the number one team in the NBA go 6 for 18, and he goes 1 for 9 from 3-point range, The defense had something to do with it. And the shot he did hit, he was wide open. Okay, and Quentin wasn't in the game. That's the shot he did hit, the 3-point shot. He scored 14 points. That's why you have a Quentin Grimes in the starting lineup at age 22 in his second year. That. Okay? And so that was huge. Huge, huge, huge. Huge, huge, huge. Second, since the return of Block Ness Monster, otherwise known as Mitchell Robinson, the Knicks have been held in opponents. To be fair, the last 2 games before the All-Star break, the opponents have been scoring about 112 points a game on the Knicks most of the season. Before the All-Star break, they held their last 2 opponents under that. But since the All-Star break, they've held all 3 opponents under that. 109, 106, 94. Okay? No coincidence. Mitch Rob is the difference maker. And this is the thing. When they played the Celtics the first 2 times, there was no Mitch Rob. Okay? Now, yes, Boston was missing Brown. Yes. But the reason they're the number 1 team in NBA is because they have Brogdon, okay, and White. Okay, so they got players. Derek White could step in, and he does, and he did. Brogdon scored 22 off the bench. Brogdon's role perfectly is on the bench. Brogdon is another injury-prone player, and he made his bones in Milwaukee, and then of course he got his big money after that when he went to Indiana. But he was injury-prone in Indiana, and that's what caused them to want to ship him out. But coming off the bench, he is, really lethal. And so him and Quickly are top 2 in terms of 6th man of the year right now, in my opinion. But Brogdon comes off the bench, he gets 22. So you missed a Jaylen Brown, but you got backup. That's why, they're a tough team, man. They went and got Shooter Hauser, they got Grant Williams, Muscala, they just picked him up. They're a deep team, but so are the Knicks. So last night we had Mitchell Robinson, and that was the difference in the ball game last night. I mean, Julius Randle did his thing. 23 points, 7 boards. He only had 1 turnover plus 8. 3 of 9 from 3-point line, 7 of 16 from the field. Very efficient. Knicks were not shooting the ball well from foul line last night, period. End of story. They just weren't. But Julius did what he does. RJ only had 10 points. Shot the ball horrible. 4 of 14. 7 rebounds. He usually contributes more on the boards when he's not shooting well, and he did. 2 assists. He had 5 turnovers. He threw bonehead plays. RJ just didn't have a good game last night overall. Wasn't like it didn't cost us the game, but he just didn't have a good game. But his defense improved, and we know why his defense improved, because Mitchell Robinson was on the floor with him. I don't know why. Well, I kind of do know why. Mitchell Robinson covers a lot of mistakes. Okay, he just does. And so Barrett looks better defensively when Robinson is on the floor. Okay, we already talked about Grimes. Now, if you look at the stat sheet, you look at the box score, you're not going to understand Quentin Grimes' impact. 2 of 5 from the field, 1 of 3 from the 3-point line, 1 assist, 1 block. You're not going to understand his impact. Okay, but if you watch the game and if you know basketball, he was key last night. Very big plays down the stretch defensively. And then, of course, there was Jalen Brunson. Again, not efficient from the floor. 4 of 12 from the floor. 0 for 4 from the 3-point line. Didn't shoot well from the line for him, 9 of 12 from the 3-point, from the foul stripe. 3 assists, 4 rebounds. Didn't look like much. But as a threat on the floor to take over a game, as a down the stretch assassin, he draws a lot of attention. Okay? As we know, he's not always going to have games like this. But this is what I'm saying. This game was playoff level atmosphere, intensity. Mitch Rob, 32 minutes, 5 of 5 from the field, 13 boards, 2 on the offensive end, 2 blocks, lots of alter shots, 2 steals, 10 points. This is going to major. That's what I'm saying. This is a championship piece. What you saw last night in this 109-94 win is playoff style basketball. Half court, blocks, defense, stops, very important. The Celtics played a high level of defense last night. They really did. But the Knicks was better. last night. Just simple as that. The Knicks was better. The Celtics are just all of the number one seed in the East type talent in game. They really are. But it just goes to show how far Tom Thibodeau has brought the Knicks. Okay, it just goes to show how far he's brought in year 3. Okay, this is year 3 since he's come into town. Year 3, not even finished year 3. And here we are, 5th seed in the East, 2 years after becoming the 4th seed in the East. Okay, so here we go. So that was tremendous. And of course, there was Emmanuel Quickly. Mobb Deep was really, 44 points last night. Obi Toppin, very efficient. 3 or 4 from the field, 4 boards. He only played 12 minutes, had 9 points plus 7. Hartenstein wasn't that good, but he did his thing. He was hustling. He was trying his best. He only had 1 board last night. Josh Hart, big steals down the bench. They credited him with 2 steals, but it felt like he made more than that. He was in the right place at the right time on defense every time. Really, really, the intangibles that he brings. You can't measure that on a stat sheet. He really does bring that toughness and intangibles and that veteran leadership. And again, he's going to be 28 next week. So he is, he's in his prime right now. And we got 44 points for Mobb Deep off the bench last night. Quickly. 7 of 13, 4 of 7 from 3, 5 of 6 from the line. That's the guy you want shooting your technical fouls, and he was. 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. That's what you want, plus 15. The thing about the Knicks, and that's what I'm saying, Boston is deep. Yep. So are the Knicks. Okay? That's why we call them Mobb Deep. Emphasis on the deep. All right? Because they could do that. So on any given night now, check this out. A team has to game plan for Julius Randle. You have to. If you don't, he's going to kill you. You have to game plan for Mitchell Robinson. If you do not double team him on the offensive glass, he's going to kill you. You have to game plan for Jalen Brunson. He's the brains. He's the head of the snake. You got to try to cut the head off. If you don't, he's going to kill you. You got to hope your best player can get free from Quentin Grimes. Because if you don't, he's going to go 6 for 18. Then you got Obi Toppin talent on the bench. You got Isaiah Quickly talent. Emmanuel Quickly talent on the bench. You got a Josh Hart. You got a hustler in Hartenstein. Then you still got Deuce behind them. This team is dangerous. Okay? So today, as we sit today, the Knicks are alone in the 5th seed. A half game above the Brooklyn Nets. Now, the 5th, 6th, and 7th seed are relatively tight. There's a 2.5 game difference between the Knicks and Miami Heat. So the Knicks are starting to open up a little daylight, but that's not enough coming down the stretch here. But the Knicks have opened lots of daylight after that. So they're 4 full games ahead of Atlanta, who's the 8th seed. Right now, they're 5.5 full games ahead of Toronto, who's the 9th seed. And they are 6.5 full games ahead of Washington, who's the 10th seed. So they have opened up some space from the play-in. Right now, they're 2.5 games from Cleveland in the 4th seed. Now, a lot of people, depending on that 4th seed, 3rd seed, listen, anything is possible. This is the NBA. Teams go on winning streaks, teams go on losing streaks, and this is the nitty gritty we at right here. You go into March, it's nitty gritty time. Okay, this March is probably the most intense month outside the playoffs in the NBA. Okay, March, because April everybody's jockeyed for their position, and a lot of teams that know where they're at, they try to start resting their best players. That's why people don't take it too seriously when somebody goes off for big numbers at the end of a season, because a lot of teams not, they mailing it in or they resting their best players. They're not trying to get anybody hurt for the playoff. But March is when you really are fighting for the playoff positioning and for making the playoffs. So right now, the Knicks are in a very good position. We got Brooklyn on Wednesday, tomorrow night. If they can beat Brooklyn, that puts a game and a half between them and Brooklyn. Okay, and then they got Miami on Friday. These are major games right here. Then they got Boston again in Boston on Sunday. And brethren, this is going to be a barn burner. Just based on what happened last night, Boston is going to be out for blood, and that's a very good thing. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you something. They came out and tried to disrespect the Knicks last night. I mean, did you see Tatum got the nerve to try to posterize Mitch Rob? He caught the wrath, and he needed to. Mitch Rob was like, "What is wrong with you?" He tried to dunk on Mitch Rob. What? So now, I bet you he know Mitch Rob's name now. I bet you he do. Okay? So he came down lane, tried that foolishness, and Mitch Rob erased his shot. Because that's what he does. So, Sunday, they're going to be mad. I mean, it's going to be hyped. So, we're going to see what happens, but that's Sunday. Right now, the Knicks get a big win against Boston at MSG. They're now a full 9 games over 536-27. And so now we got a big game tomorrow against Brooklyn. Cannot sleep on them. They scrappy. They want to prove that they don't need Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. They're really, up for this game. It's New York, Brooklyn. So again, it's on. And so the Knicks got to be ready for this one. They got to be ready for this one tomorrow, because this is really, like I said, man, this ain't no joke. This ain't no joke. This ain't no joke. The Knicks have got to be ready for this one, because we win this one, again, we put space between us and Brooklyn and Miami. Then again, we got another big one on Friday against Miami, so we'll take that as that we cross that bridge when we come to it. But very big games right now: Brooklyn, Miami, Boston. Then we got Charlotte on Tuesday. That could be a letdown game. Can't let down because it's Charlotte, right? This is the NBA. Okay. Now the problem with Charlotte, they just lost LaMelo Ball for what could be the season. I think he broke his ankle last night, poor kid. I think he broke his ankle. Yeah, I think he had a fractured ankle. So he might be done for the season. Okay, and based on that. Fractured ankle is at least 4 weeks. He might be done for the season. But still can't sleep on them. Don't sleep on nobody. But that's what we got after Boston next week. So the schedule, I have to say, even though it's a tough schedule, for the Knicks right now though, it's a good schedule. It really is, because the Knicks can play with anybody. We don't fear anybody. Some of y'all get this twisted when I talked about the Bucks matching up well with the Knicks. I'm just giving you the analyst. Stop getting emotionally, negative. I'm just telling y'all, they match up well with the Knicks. I'm not scared of the Bucks. This is basketball. I'm scared if somebody pull out a 9mm on me. That's scared. This is just basketball. Scared? No. But they match up well with the Knicks, and what it is strategically, we have a better path to the ECF if we don't have to mess with them right away. That's all I'm saying to you. It's strategic. Catch me now, right? Let's not get arrogant about the thing. We got to be strategic. So it's a better path to the ECF for the Knicks if we're going to get there without having to go through them. You understand? If we got to deal with anybody else, see? So let's say right now it'd be New York, Cleveland, right? Be New York, Cleveland. And right now, Boston and Milwaukee are tied. But if Boston happens to overtake Milwaukee for the top spot in the East again, then we play Boston in the next round. Now, Boston is good, but shoot, I like our chances. Then we have to face the Bucks in the ECF. See, so that's what I'm saying. It's a better path. It's an easier path. You got to be strategic in these things. We have to face Milwaukee before that. We just do. It is what it is. But I'd rather not right away. So I'm glad we don't have to play them coming down this stretch. And I'm glad that right now the Knicks are moving up in the standings. So we're going to see what happens. But anybody else in the East, yeah, it doesn't matter. We could play anybody else in the East for various reasons. I said Boston most of the time is better than most teams in the NBA. I mean, after all, look at their record. But when it comes to the Knicks, that's a different story. Knicks is like kryptonite, to Boston. Okay? So that is what it is. Just like Toronto's like kryptonite to us. See? So we don't want to mess with Milwaukee if we don't have to right now. So going forward, tomorrow night, big game against Brooklyn. Where is this game going to be? Let's see. This game going to be, is it going to be, let me see, I'm going to tell you right now, before you start answering. It's going to be at the Garden. No, yeah, it's going to be at the Garden. It's going to be at the Garden. So, for Brooklyn, man, for Brooklyn, forget them. They play tonight against Bucks. They play tonight against the Bucks. And tomorrow in New York. So, get beat up. Hope y'all get beat up. Shoot. Anyway, y'all enjoy your Tuesday. So